everybody, my name is Obed and today I interview Sebastian Kuehn, one of the fellow authors of our upcoming book From Fear to Courage, 12 Insights to Achieve Your Dreams. And I'm very excited that you're here. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wonderful, man. I'm stoked. At the moment we're in Langkawi, Malaysia, and we're here for a conference. And I got the opportunity to interview Sebastian Kuehn in person. And Sebastian Kuehn, he really inspires me. I met him 4 years ago and his journey has been amazing. Observing what you're going through is just incredible. You know, you're inspiring thousands of people building meaningful online businesses with Widest Life, with Citizen Circle, an amazing community, which is very close to my heart. And today you're here, so man, I got a few questions prepared for you and I'm really excited to dive deep. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's provide some good advice and inspiration.
Yeah, because and for those of you who don't know, From Fear to Courage is a book where 12 entrepreneurs, including me, including Sebastian, we're sharing our journey on how we are achieving our dream business, but more importantly, the fears, because that's a lot of people, they want to go for the dream business, but sometimes fears can get in the way. And I found it while coaching hundreds of people, I've noticed that it's a very important topic. So I decided to share a book on this topic and inviting entrepreneurs such as Sebastian Kuehn to write about what does fear mean to them and how did they overcome their fears so that they could actually achieve their dream business and be of service to others. And yeah, today we're going to dive deep specifically on Sebastian Kuehn. And my first question to you is really like, what does fear mean to you?
It shifted. Like if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said something horrible, something that tells me, don't go there, don't do that, it's dangerous, stay back. And that shifted during the last couple of years. And now when I feel like I'm afraid, it's something where I have to go through, where I have to push my limits, go out of my comfort zone. And of course there are fears that are very justified. Like if I'm standing on top of a building and I'm afraid to jump, that's a really good fear because it protects me. But most of the fears, they are just made up in my head, right? They are based on limiting beliefs, on something that is not, that's my reality, but it doesn't really have real consequences. So the meaning of fear really changed a lot during my last 10 years.
Okay. And could you share with us, what's the biggest fear that you've overcome in the past? So it's a fear that you've already overcome. What's the biggest fear regarding your career?
So I got self-employed in 2012, 8 years ago. And even before that time, even when I was studying, I always had a lot of business ideas. I was writing business plans, 60 pages, sitting in my room, but never getting out that idea. And what I was always afraid of
I can relate, that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate. What I was afraid of is, what if that does not work? What happens? I could lose a lot of money. I could end up in bad relationships. I could invest a lot of time and energy and people laugh about me. And there are all these, that fear was not really concrete. It was always just a question, there's a really big chance that it's not working, that I'm failing. And at some point, I was thinking about what's the reality, what could really happen. I could waste a month of my time.
So on which idea was that? Which business idea was that specifically that you felt that overwhelming fear of failure?
There was one business idea like 12, 13 years ago where me and a business partner, we wanted to place students into internships abroad. The idea was great. I still think it would have worked.
Placing students
in companies abroad so they can do their internship.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And we were even renting an office. We had our business cards printed, but we never ever got out and asked people if they want to buy our service.
Okay.
So, and there was always that fear, what if we get out there, we open ourselves up for criticism, for failure, and we didn't want that because we were too afraid.
Right. So that didn't happen and you learned a lot from it? Right. Okay. And do you experience more recently that you experience some fear of failure but then you just pushed through anyway because you've learned it. You've got to create amazing books. You're very popular, specifically in the German community, because what you share is mostly in German. And more recently, did you experience a fear of failure, but then you did it anyway?
I mean, there are a lot of fears left, but the fear of failure I would say it's not there anymore. I mean, I failed so many times when I was self-employed during the last 8 years, and I always learned so much out of my failures, and that prepared me to improve myself, to improve my next business idea. So all these failures, they were super helpful. That's why I said my mindset completely shifted for that fear. But of course, there are different challenges now. For example, I was just writing a book last year, which will be published very soon, and I'm getting very vulnerable in the book because I'm talking a lot about my limiting beliefs, about my past, about the things I'm not proud of. So now, of course, there's always that fear of what will other people think about me? Will they criticize me? Will they make fun of me? And that's a different kind of fear.
And you mentioned limiting belief. You mentioned it twice now, and I know what you mean with it, but for those who don't know, what is a limiting belief?
I would say it's a reality that I created for myself, that I got out of my parents, from teachers, from colleagues, from church, from wherever. Society is telling me, for example, money is evil. They tell me you're not good enough.
Money is evil? I know about this,
yeah.
but I'm sure a lot of people don't. What do you mean with that? And what does it come from? Money is evil. What do you mean?
And I mean that limiting belief is just it's the glasses that I'm wearing, which show me the world very different than you are seeing the world, right? Because I have these beliefs about how the world is functioning and what's good and bad and evil.
Yeah.
So, and these beliefs, they can limit me.
And where does it come from? Money is evil? Where does it come from?
It comes pretty much from my parents, from the environment I grew up in. So that belief is, if you have more money than you need, that's a really bad thing. Like, no one should earn too much money. Everything should be allocated evenly. And that limiting belief, that was just holding me back. That was not allowing me to earn more money with my company to improve.
Got it. And then you realized it was stopping you to go to that next level. What happened?
I mean, we've been talking a lot about it when we were working together, when you were coaching me. And I just had to understand, first of all, what am I worth to myself in terms of an hourly rate, in terms of how much money am I allowing myself to earn? And that has a lot to do with self-confidence, right? So I was really working on that, and I was trying to understand how much value I'm providing to other people. And it's not just worth 10 euros, it's worth a lot of money if I'm changing other people's lives. And the second thing is, the more money I make with my company, the more people I can reach, the more time I can free up for myself because I can just outsource work, and the stronger I can build my company. So it's a really, really good thing to make a lot of money and reinvest.
Right. So you changed the meaning around money.
Actually, I would say now, like, money really doesn't matter to me. It doesn't have a big meaning. It's not evil. It's not good. It's just energy that's flowing. It's something I can work with, right? It's a mean to reach a goal.
Right.
So yeah, that's the meaning that changed.
Beautiful. And how do you notice generating more revenues at the moment? How does that increase your value to the world?
It just allows me to work on the bigger ideas, right? I'm not too much into the daily operational work. I don't have to answer every email myself. I don't have, like, we are organizing a conference right now. We're having a big team that allows me to do interviews with you, to just connect to people, to brainstorm, to work on big ideas, because I can outsource a lot of work that's taking much from my time usually.
Okay. So does it mean then you have more time for innovations?
Exactly.
And so you can scale up and in turn and then reach and help more people.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And before you mentioned about perfectionism, and that's one of my favorite topics, mostly because that's one of my areas of improvement, and because I notice I want to create really good quality. However, sometimes I just overdo it, and I just find myself working hours and hours on an article or on preparing for a coaching session, and it just sometimes it gets in the way. And I remember reading in your chapter, which I find very inspiring, and also I've been sharing Sebastian's chapter with many of my clients, with many of my followers, because we're giving it away for free. So you can, if you want, down below, you can see a link, and if you want to read Sebastian Kuehn's chapter, you can already do that for free. And the rest of the book will be published later this year. But Sebastian Kuehn's chapter you can download for free. And what I learned from your chapter is that fear of failure can really kick in, and it's good to just launch early. You mentioned a quote from the CEO of LinkedIn, and can you? And I remember you talked a bit more about. Or maybe you can share. We're interviewing you. I'll let you do the talking. Well, what was his quote? And also, more importantly, you talked about the 80-20 rule. And can you give us some practical steps, which you haven't discussed in the chapter, but if you want, you can share it with us now. What are practical tips for people to apply this 80-20 rule?
Yeah. I can totally relate to perfectionism because that was, or still is, an issue sometimes for me. And I think it was Reid Hoffman, the CEO of LinkedIn, who said, if you are not embarrassed of the first version of your product or service, you are too late.
Right, that's it.
Right? I like that. I really like that quote a lot. And that also relates to the 80-20 rule, which says, I think originally it says 20% of your customers are producing 80% of your income. And the other 80% of your customers, they are creating a lot of trouble. They're not really worth the effort. And that's really a principle I'm living my life after, like in every area. It's also like, I want to have 20% of the information available, so I know 80% about the topic. I want to be sure that my product reaches a certain kind of perfectionism, but doesn't go to 100%. If I'm satisfied 50, 60% maybe, I just want to go out there and I want to ask for feedback and improve. But I don't want to sit like 12 years ago. I don't want to sit and write a business plan, 60 pages for half a year, and then never ever showing it to the world. It just doesn't make sense, right?
Right. So this tool of the 80-20 rule, really, that's one of your most important tools to overcome your perfectionism, to overcome your fear of failure.
Yeah.
To do it and launch it. When it's 80% ready, you launch it. That's what you write about in your book.
Yeah, exactly. And then
inspiring.
Then I'm actually asking people if they would buy it. Tell them, hey, I've got that product, it's 250.
When it's 80% ready.
When it's 80% ready, and I'm trying to be honest and saying, hey, that's a beta launch. It's not, the product is not ready. But if you want to be part of it early, you get, of course, a better price, and I would really appreciate your feedback.
Okay, so you communicate that it's not finished yet. Yeah, interesting.
So I mean, it just makes a lot of sense to
develop. You're being vulnerable in a way.
Yeah, but I guess, I mean, people like it, right? And they like to be part of the innovation process. They want to develop the product together with the producer. And I've said many times that I was doing that market test, and people liked it so much to be involved in the creation of a product or a service.
And do you have any practical tips for those who are watching and think like, hey, that makes sense. I'd like to include my followers, my clients in this process and get their feedback. What would be the steps they could take to do that?
Yeah, maybe I can try it with some examples. Like if I'm going to write a book, I'm not sitting there for 6 months and writing 300 pages, but I'm just doing the outline, right? And then I'm asking my friends, I'm asking my family, and then I'm asking strangers for feedback. So I get feedback from different people. And if people are really interested in it, then I start producing it. The same with online courses and other digital products. A couple of years ago, I was experimenting in e-commerce and I wanted to sell physical products. And I mean, it's really expensive to buy like 2,000-3,000 products from one kind that I want to sell. So what I did, I was just creating a website that looked like an online shop, and I asked a designer to do a mock-up. So that's kind of how the product looks like when it's ready. I put a price on it and I said, hey, we are ready to deliver the product in 2 months. If you order now early, if you give me the trust before the product is there, you get half the price. And then I just gonna put some ads on Facebook or Google. I send people to that website and I'm gonna check how many of these people are actually clicking on the buy button. And then, right, I got the approval or I don't get it. And a lot of times that idea fails after 1 or 2 weeks and I can move on, get that idea out of my head. So I think it's really, really important to test. Test.
Let's talk about goal setting. Because in the chapter, in your chapter in our book, you talk about the power of accountability. And how is accountability related to fears?
I think when I'm afraid of something, I always find excuses not to do it, right? Maybe now I'm really motivated and I say, I want to create that product, even when I'm afraid of it. Tomorrow, the day after, at some point, the motivation will decrease. And then I will find excuses why it's not a good idea to do it. If you're my accountability buddy and say, hey, every morning we have a quick chat for 5 minutes and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing today, I will be really embarrassed to tell you, hey, I'm not doing it because I'm so afraid.
Right.
And you're going to kick my ass if I'm not doing it. So that's one, I mean, you're a very nice guy, but you can also be very motivating.
Yeah.
And so one good idea is to just find a partner.
Thank you. And I feel very privileged that I've guided you on that journey throughout that year.
I mean, we did that goal setting, right? And we met every 2 weeks. And I knew I had to do my homework. If not, you would tell me, Sebastian, what's going on? You know, last week you told me why you want to do it, and now you're not doing it. Another good idea to have a group of 5 or 6 people, a mastermind group, and just meet once or twice a month.
Yeah.
You exchange ideas, you set goals, and you account for these goals whenever you meet. And that really motivates me, it pushes me.
Wonderful. Yeah, I really like also what you shared, that somebody can also remind you why you do it.
Exactly.
And you also talk about it in the chapter. Clarity is power is one of your paragraphs in your chapter, one of my favorites. And what is the power of clarity and knowing why you do what you do? Well, first of all, why do you do what you do? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Would you like to share that?
I like to. I do what I do. The first reason is a very selfish one. And selfish always has such a bad connotation, but I think the better I know myself, the better I know my strengths, my passions, and also my weaknesses, the better that I can help other people, right? So for me, it's all about, I want to be self-conscious. I want to know who that guy is. I want to figure out what I can contribute to the world. So a lot of things I'm doing in business, in my relationships, in my travels, with my family, everywhere has to do with myself, because I want to get to know myself better. And then, of course, I want to contribute. I like a lot to connect people. That's why we created that community of awesome people with Citizen Circle. So it really touches my heart when I see groups of people, like-minded people. They create synergies, they have friendships, I'm getting goosebumps when I talk about it.
Oh, man, I experienced
because
it yesterday.
Yeah, it's so great if people connect and they are like on the same level. They support each other, they push each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, I noticed it yesterday in the Clarity workshop, which I had the privilege to provide to the Citizen Circle community, and I could feel the community, the friendship, the support they have for each other. It's very inspiring.
And I feel like in these group situations or relationships, one-on-one, groups, family, for me it's such a great learning experience. Like, some people just started their business, I can learn a lot from them. Some are like way ahead of me, but there's something to learn from everyone, right? Whenever we are interacting, I'm learning something new about myself, about other people, and yeah, I really like that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And so knowing your reasons, how does that how does that help you, how does it help anybody with overcoming their fears?
I think if you have clarity on why you do what you do, then you are more likely to push through your fears, right? You need a really good reason. If I'm creating goals for myself of saying I want to make $1 million next year, and I don't have a reason for it, I'm not going to reach that goal, and I'm not motivated, because it doesn't come from inside of myself. If my why is I want to connect people, I want to help them develop in their business, in their personal life, I want to create synergies. It's such a strong why that gets me out of bed so motivated every morning.
Right.
And if I'm creating my goals around that why, there are not many fears that would stop me.
Beautiful. So knowing your why, knowing your reasons helps you to push through.
Yeah.
I love that.
Also, I mean, you always say clarity is power, right? And it's, if I know what I really want to get out of life, then all these distractions, like people telling me about great business ideas, people that are not good for myself, stealing my energy, a lot of other distractions, I just don't need them anymore if I'm really clear on my vision for my business and if I know what I want. So that's the other part why clarity is just so important.
Yeah, right. And I notice I notice a lot of people also feel the need to please others. And I remember that is something you talk about as well. Would you like to share a bit more about that
Yeah.
topic?
Like, as long as I can think, that was one of my very strong limiting beliefs. I always wanted to be liked by others and please others. Even in my late 20s still, I was doing things to please my mom, to please my boss, to be liked by my coworkers and fellow students.
Yeah.
And I was always forgetting myself. I was always just second, but the other people were first priority. And it costed myself a lot of energy to wear that mask and to be someone I'm actually not. And that is also responsible for why for a long time I was not finding my path in life. Like, I was just following other people instead of looking inside and seeing, hey, who is that guy? Who's Sebastian? What passions and strengths does he have?
Yeah.
What do I want to do with the world?
Yeah.
And in my late 20s, like 8-9 years ago, I started to learn more about myself, what I wanted to do. I was going very far away. I was moving to Shanghai, and all my old circle of friends, my family, everyone was just very far away. So that was like a fresh start, and I realized, okay, there are a lot of things I did that are not belonging to myself. And I started to figure out who I am. And it's a really bad thing in our society. People start telling you you're selfish and you're not taking care of others because you're just doing what's good for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time to accept it's not a bad thing to take care of myself.
Right. So you notice by taking care of yourself and taking care of your own needs, you can actually add more value
So much
to
more.
others.
Yeah.
Right, beautiful. Wow.
And what I feel now, I'm writing books and I'm giving talks, and we have that citizen circle community, and the more clarity I have, the more I know who I am, the more people get inspired, because I can be authentic, right?
I saw it yesterday. You were a guest speaker in my workshop, and you shared your workshop with the Citizen Circle participants. And when you were sharing your stories, you could really see they were really leaning in, and they were so curious about who you are, what you're doing, and why you do it. And yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
What do you feel let's talk about legacy. I love the topic legacy. And what do you feel is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
It's funny that you mentioned it, because we just had that conversation a couple of days ago with some friends, and some people said it's kids, businesses, the wisdom that they want to leave for the next generations, or they want to get engaged in, climate or whatever it is. But for myself, I realize, no, at the moment there's nothing I have to leave. There's no need for me to have a legacy. And I imagine myself being 80, 90 and ready to go. I think I want to look back and say, I was living my life. I was living an authentic life. I was following my inner voice. That's really important for myself. And if I can inspire some other people on the way, it's perfectly fine. But at least at the moment, maybe it changes in 10, 15 years, who knows? But at the moment, I don't feel the need for a legacy.
Wonderful. Man, it's been a very inspiring conversation, and I really appreciate that you take the time to be here and share all your inspiration with us and with the people who are watching. And do you experience any fears at the moment for any projects that you're working on?
So one big challenge, there are always challenges, right? They're changing. The biggest challenge right now is to let go of control, because we're hiring a lot of people now. So I have to learn to trust other people, to trust them to do things differently than I would have done them, but still in a good way, right?
And you're hiring people for?
For a Citizen Circle. They are organizing events, they're doing customer support, they're doing marketing, so in a lot of different areas.
Right.
So I'm trying to learn how to be a good leader, how to lead by example, and how to trust, and how to get my ego out of the way. That ego that's always saying, no, it has to be done that way. I would have done it that way, and I know best. So it gets better, but it's still a big challenge for me to let go of that illusion that I can control everything.
Right. And then what would be the advice for yourself? Because you have a lot of wisdom and experience. What would be advice for yourself on that topic?
Just trust people. If I trust other people, they I cannot expect other people to trust me and to deliver good results if I don't trust them.
Beautiful. And for those people who are watching now, and they are, I know some of you are, most of you want to go for your dream business, and you might experience some fears at the moment. What would be your advice for these people?
No, what I did in 2018 was experimenting. I actually did, every month I did a different lifestyle experiment. It was called Lifestyle X, and it was very playful. So 1 month I tried to be completely anonymous. 1 month I was only eating fruits, and 1 month I was going to a small hut in Sweden, completely isolated.
Yeah.
I was learning so many things. I was getting to know myself better. It was good for my business. I got new perspectives on life. And it was really, really scary sometimes, because all these experiments were really new experiences. But it was playful. It was not like, oh, Sebastian, you have to do it now. You have to be very disciplined. But it was like, yeah, let's try that for 30 days. Let's have fun. Let's have fun on the way. Let's share my experiments with other people, maybe even get them involved and make a friendly competition out of it. So I think being more playful in life, not always taking things so serious and put such a big weight on, for example, if I want to change a habit, just try new things, experiment, test, and then see if it sticks or not.
I love it. I love that. Thank you for sharing. It's been a very inspiring conversation, and I take away a lot from this, especially many ways. You talked about perfectionism, we talked about fears, how to overcome fears. And I guess your message is just go do it.
Just go do it. And if you're afraid of something, it's usually a good sign that you are about to do something important. I mean, don't jump out of the window, please, but I mean, everything else that's not dangerous for your life, it's usually a sign that you should go in that direction, right? If you're afraid.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. And if you want to learn more about Sebastian, click on the link below. You can read his full chapter on how he overcame his fears and how he achieved his dream business. And also I'll include some links about your websites. And thank you for watching, everybody. And go for your dreams. Dare to dream. Dare to achieve. And make it happen. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.